All right. Well, excited for tonight. Banquets are kind of like those senior games, right? It's the first of last for a lot of our guys, but also what I like about the end of this year and going to a bowl game, it kind of gives us a catapult into 2023. I was just in Tampa on Thursday. Was in our team hotel where we're going to be. I know they're very excited down there. Unfortunately, Coach Leach couldn't be there, but got a chance to visit with some Mississippi State people. And I think the opportunity to play them at this time of the year and that environment for us in this community, this era, to go down and be in Tampa that time of year will be a lot of fun. Tonight's senior banquet will award a lot of guys that have standing awards we give out every year, and then awards that we give out from our coaching staff. Appreciation awards, different things that mean a lot to our staff and hopefully mean a lot to our players. See a lot of family here. I didn't really know how many people are going to be here. I think kind of going away from the traditional banquet, right, and sitting through 3 hours of a sit-down meal and having everybody kind of sit in one spot for a long time. I think it's much better to get families here, let them take their sons to dinner and relax and enjoy and be around other families. For us as coaches, it's also a recruiting weekend. We had practice earlier today. This is our third bowl practice already. Yeah, today we actually practiced everybody, kicked the high rep guys out halfway through, and then practiced with the young guys in the afternoon. So this next week is finals week. We'll let our guys go this week. It's our last week of live recruiting. They'll practice with Tank and the crew Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we'll have our next practice next Saturday and truly jump into bowl prep really a week from Wednesday. With that, open up for questions.
How many kids do you have here this weekend, recruits?
Recruiting-wise?
Yeah, you can tell me a number.
Yeah, we have six official visitors.
This is a big deal, I assume, for those guys, right?
Yeah, so recruiting has kind of transcended from, it used to be like this is the biggest.
Right.
We used to, my first year as a head coach 14 years ago, this was the biggest weekend. You planned everything around the banquet weekend. And then really when we opened up June recruiting, right, and opened up the recruiting calendar, this probably lost a little luster. Then I was out of it for 3 years. And then really this time of year is guys that sometimes there's been a change in their plans, right? High school kids that maybe have committed to other places, decommitted because of circumstances are here now. There's also, we got a few portal kids in, kids that are on the other end of the spectrum. I think it was very unique, this practice, this group today, when I addressed them last night, it was 6 prospects from 6 different states. And really 6 kids on 6 different journeys, everywhere from high school to last year. And it's just an unprecedented time in college recruiting.
Position for next year.
What's that?
At the quarterback position for next year, when you kind of recruiting, how do you kind of do the balance?
I'm sorry.
How do you kind of, when you're recruiting for the quarterback position for next year, how do you kind of balance Tommy and his waiver?
The quarterback position?
Yeah.
What kind of accent is that?
You said Louis, I guess. I don't know.
Would you have a hard time? I didn't know what you're saying. Quarterback position.
Yes, for next season, how do you kind of balance Tommy and his waiver situation versus getting in a transfer or recruiting transfer?
You may know more than I know. All I do is treat every position kind of the same, whether it's quarterback, running back, O-line, D-line. Anytime you have a positional player that's in the last year of his eligibility, right, you recruit to a certain level before the season ever appears. During the course of the year, things change, right? Kids that are remaining years of eligibility may get injured and have a medical. It's kind of unprecedented. And then this year with a portal situation, it's always a kind of a wait till we get to the end of the year and see what happens. At the quarterback position specifically for us, right before the year was started, we lost Amari Collier, right, who was a second-year quarterback. So that, throws off the recruiting process a little bit. If I believe correctly, Art, who is now transitioning out, he was the last quarterback that the previous staff had recruited here, still here. So I think our philosophy, our mentality is a lot different from what was here before, especially at the quarterback position. So this will clean swipe it, and we'll see where we are in the fall.
So you don't expect Art back, is that right?
Correct, yeah.
Is there a specific year you remember, the bowl practices and the result of the bowl game being able to carry over to what you did in the spring?
Yeah, I would say, honestly, pretty close to every one of them, right? Like I told our guys when we became bowl eligible, we started an 8-week development program. We basically became eligible with the 6th win, and we started a program, Tank and I, that started a Devo lifting program 3 days a week. They would normally have been in a 2-week program or 2-day-a-week program. We scheduled it so now we could put those guys, because we knew we were going to have 8 weeks with them all the way up till we left for bowl prep. And when that started, I said, there's a guy in this room right now who isn't playing on our current 74-man roster who will be a starter and an impact player next year. Who he is, I don't know. But here's the players of the past. And I showed him like 8 players that emerged during bowl prep who went on to become not only good players for us, but NFL players. And I wanted them to understand this path hasn't, it's not like this is the first time it's been chartered, right? Like, we've been on this path before, and there'll be another one out here today.
You said Art's not going to be with you.
Correct.
Art's is he gone now for?
No, he's here. Practice
He's still
12 a day.
gone.
Yep.
But I'll be with you for the team, but the next year gone. Right? I just want to make sure.
Ironically, no, but he's not going to be playing.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
And
He's got coach written all over him, right?
Yes.
Like,
anybody else that has told you they're not going to play in the bowl yet, or is still waiting on that?
No, I think that's a work in progress.
Right.
Literally, nobody, I can honestly say before tonight's banquet, is in that position. Although I know they're out there,
Right, of course.
we're still working through a lot of things.
Brett, the timing of this portal and all these kids, what is this like right now for you guys?
You know, I think the NCAA is trying to make it better every year, and it's definitely a work in progress. But what's really been beneficial, I think, to these guys is January 4th through the 8th, they passed an NCAA rule that allows kids to come in during that week, which I think really alleviates the pressure for kids that are, trying to play in a bowl game, also get in the portal and be in school before January 15th. So I think the NCAA is doing a great job of doing that. It's kind of a work in progress for us, even for us as a university, right? The admissions policy, the things that we got to do to get kids in school. There's just a lot of moving parts that the university has to charter that's never been done before.
And obviously with coaching changes elsewhere, you get maybe a second chance at some kids. Like, how is that relationships pay off early and just the season, how does that impact what you're doing?
Well, that's a great point. So even when we have recruiting back in May, June, July, kids begin to make decisions, I always say end that conversation on a high note, right? Always take the high road. I think it comes back to you tenfold. And, there's things that happened this year in our conference around the country that I think people probably saw as an unprecedented act, right? They didn't think that was going to happen. But now we're living in the reality of the moment, and relationships do matter.
How much more fun is it to have this after this kind of season, this banquet tonight? Just,
Well, I think it's fun because I didn't get to see many of them, but to see the parents, to see the smiles, the hugs, the hellos. For me, what I went through the last couple of weeks, to see a lot of families that reached out to me personally, like just a really special thing. I still think the best avenue here is to kind of have this type of social, let everybody be around each other. I know my parents, me, as a player, as a young coach, I used to enjoy the time after the banquet.
Okay.
Get to see families, get to see them in a way that everybody didn't have to sit down and be all stiff for 3 hours. It's just, I think, the better way to do things.
Brett, Ben Miller keeps looking better.
Yeah,
feeling better.
great point.
I know you don't have a crystal ball, but if this keeps going the way it's going, do you suspect that you'll get him back?
Yeah, so the guys that I kind of hired in his absence, we signed through January 31st, right? So there's just different scenarios that could play out. Ben is currently probably helping us as much as he's ever helped us, but he's still going through some things. So to get through really probably the second signing date, that second, the first February and Wednesday, the first Wednesday in February, we'll kind of take a deep breath there, see where we're at. That's kind of what I had penciled in, whether he was going to be with us December, January, February. I was going to take us through the year. I didn't want to rush anything, do anything. And then once that's done, then we got about once classes start on January, the Tuesday after Martin Luther King Day, we have 8 weeks to get ready for spring ball. And whether he's in that conversation is yet to be determined.
You're always a GM, right?
Yeah.
That's what you are. But do you feel more of that now because of all the roster recruiting you're doing, both for your guys and potential recruits?
There's a lot of things that happen as you go through life. I say it all the time, right? You don't realize how it's going to benefit you. When I was in the NFL and I watched how we managed really a 60 to 70 man roster, the amount of times I compare that to where we're at right now, the coaches, they know all the time, literally every day. Guys that have traveled with me on the road, they'll see me pull out that roster management sheet, and that thing could change 3 or 4 times in a day, right? And the use of the portal is kind of a free agent market. It's definitely a GM role like I've never seen before. I'm really happy I had that NFL experience because it's truly how rosters are managed today, no doubt.